6 months after the final battle, Admiral Tay stood aboard the former Keth flagship, now renamed Liberation. The massive vessel had been converted from a symbol of imperial terror into a mobile diplomatic center for the newly formed Galactic Cooperative Alliance. The bridge, once filled with instruments of war, now hosted representatives from dozens of species. Former enemies worked together to establish trade routes, share technology, and build a peaceful future. "Admiral," reported Commander Wu, "the final surrender ceremony is ready to begin. Emperor Vex has agreed to formally dissolve the Keth Empire and transfer all territorial claims to the liberated worlds." Admiral Tay nodded, adjusting his dress uniform. This ceremony would mark the official end of the war that had reshaped galactic civilization. "Is everything prepared for the broadcast?" "Yes, sir. Every inhabited world in this sector of the galaxy will witness the Empire's formal surrender." In the ship's main conference hall, representatives from 43 species took their seats. Ambassador Hyun represented the restored Villani Confederation. Beside him sat delegates from worlds that had suffered under Keth occupation for decades. Emperor Vex entered the hall under guard, his massive frame diminished by months of imprisonment. The former ruler, who had once commanded fleets across the galaxy, now faced the consequences of his empire's brutality. Dr. Yu had spent months studying Keth society and culture. Her reports showed that most of the empire's population had opposed their government's aggressive expansion, but feared to speak against it. "Admiral Tay," she said quietly, "my research confirms that the Keth people themselves are not inherently violent. Their military culture was imposed by a small ruling class that used fear to maintain control." "What about their rehabilitation?" "Very promising. Former Keth soldiers are adapting well to peacekeeping roles. Many express relief that they no longer have to participate in the Empire's war crimes." The ceremony began with President Kim speaking for Earth. "Today marks the end of the Keth Empire's reign of terror, but we gather not to celebrate conquest, but to establish a foundation for lasting peace." She gestured to the assembled delegates. "Humanity did not fight this war to build our own empire. We fought to ensure that no species would ever again live under the threat of imperial aggression." Emperor Vex stood to make his formal statement. His voice, once used to issue orders for planetary destruction, now spoke words of surrender and regret. "I formally dissolve the Keth Empire and renounce all claims to conquered territories. I acknowledge the crimes committed under my rule and accept responsibility for the suffering they caused." Captain Bin, now promoted to admiral for her role in the war's first victory, presented the new Galactic Charter. This document establishes the Galactic Cooperative Alliance, a voluntary association of free worlds committed to mutual defense and peaceful cooperation. The charter represented everything the war had been fought to achieve. No more imperial expansion. No more conquest of peaceful peoples. No more weapons of mass destruction threatening entire civilizations. Colonel Yoon, who had personally captured the Emperor, now oversaw the integration of former Keth military units into the Alliance Defense Force. Her Marines, once trained for assault operations, now taught peacekeeping techniques to former enemies. "Admiral Tay," she reported, "the transition is proceeding better than expected. Former Keth officers are proving excellent at training local defense forces. They understand imperial tactics and can teach effective countermeasures." Engineer Ko had perhaps the most important job of all. Her technical teams worked throughout former Keth space, dismantling planet-killer weapons and converting military facilities into civilian infrastructure. "We have successfully neutralized all imperial superweapons," she reported to the assembly. "The technology has been adapted for civilian use. The same energy systems that once threatened planets now power entire cities." Lieutenant Ryu, now Commander Ryu, coordinated the massive logistics operation that supported reconstruction efforts. Human industrial capacity, mobilized for war, now focused on rebuilding devastated worlds. "Sir, supply convoys report successful. Delivery to all primary reconstruction sites. Former Keth worlds are showing remarkable recovery rates." The ceremony concluded with the signing of the Alliance Charter by representatives from every member world. The document enshrined principles that humanity had fought to defend: self-determination, mutual cooperation, and collective security against aggression. As delegates filed out of the conference hall, Ambassador Hyun approached Admiral Tae. "Admiral, when I first came to Earth, I expected to find a minor species that might send a few ships to help us survive. Instead, I found a civilization willing to risk everything to defend principles they believed in. Ambassador, humanity has learned from our own history that freedom and peace require constant defense. We could not allow the Keth Empire to continue spreading fear and oppression, but at such cost to yourselves." Admiral Tae looked out the viewport at the stars where human ships still patrolled, ensuring the peace they had won. "Ambassador, the cost of allowing evil to triumph is always greater than the cost of stopping it. We chose to pay the price of victory rather than accept the price of defeat." Dr. Yu published her final report on the war's aftermath. Her research showed remarkable changes throughout the former empire. Keth birth rates had increased as families no longer feared their children being conscripted into military service. Art and literature flourished as censorship ended. Scientific research advanced rapidly as resources once devoted to weapons development were redirected to peaceful purposes. "The Keth people are experiencing a cultural renaissance," she wrote. "Freed from the militaristic society imposed by their former rulers, they are rediscovering their own peaceful traditions." General Ho received updates on the global situation from his command center on Earth. The war had transformed humanity's place in the galaxy, from unknown newcomers to respected leaders of a growing alliance of free worlds. "Commander Wu, what is our current military status?" "Sir, we maintain patrol fleets to ensure stability, but most of our wartime fleet has been converted to civilian use. Construction ships, medical vessels, research platforms, the same ships that brought war are now building peace." The transformation of human society had been as dramatic as their military victory. Earth's war economy became a peace economy, but with the same efficiency and dedication that had won the conflict. Captain Bin, now serving as the Alliance's military coordinator, oversaw joint training exercises between former enemies. Human, Keth, Vellani, and dozens of other species worked together to develop new defensive strategies. "The irony is remarkable," she noted in her reports. "The same tactical flexibility that allowed us to defeat the Empire now helps us integrate its former soldiers into our peacekeeping forces." Engineer Ko established technical schools throughout the former Keth territory, teaching advanced engineering to species that had been denied such knowledge under imperial rule. Her students included many former Keth officers who had once maintained weapons of planetary destruction. "It is amazing," she wrote to Earth Command, "how quickly people adapt to building instead of destroying when given the opportunity." Colonel Yoon founded the Alliance Military Academy, where officers from all member species learned not just combat techniques, but the principles of ethical warfare and civilian protection that had guided human forces during the conflict. "We teach them to be warriors who protect rather than conquer," she explained. "The strength to fight must always serve the goal of peace." The war's end brought unexpected discoveries. Keth archives revealed the locations of dozens of species thought extinct, actually hidden in remote regions to escape imperial attention. The Alliance sent expedition fleets to contact these lost civilizations and invite them to rejoin galactic society. As the first anniversary of victory approached, monuments were erected on every member world. But these monuments honored not military conquest, but the principles for which the war had been fought: freedom, cooperation, and the courage to stand against tyranny. Admiral Tae, now serving as the Alliance's first Supreme Commander, addressed the anniversary gathering from the Bridge of the Liberation. Representatives from over 100 worlds participated in the ceremony via holographic link. 1 year ago, Ambassador Hyun came to Earth with a desperate plea for help. His people faced extinction at the hands of an empire that ruled through fear and brutality. Today, that empire is gone, replaced by an alliance of free peoples committed to ensuring that such tyranny never again threatens the galaxy. He paused, looking out at the stars that now seemed brighter with hope. The Keth pleaded for empire and conquest. The Vellani pleaded for survival and freedom. Humanity answered both pleas. We gave the Vellani their freedom, and we gave the Keth something better than empire: We gave them the chance to be part of something greater than conquest. As the ceremony concluded, ships from dozens of worlds launched in formation, their running lights creating patterns of celebration across the darkness of space. Former enemies flew side by side, their crews working together to build the peaceful future that had seemed impossible just 1 year before. That began with a desperate plea for help had ended. General Ho stood in Earth Command watching displays that showed human forces throughout the galaxy. Red markers indicated fleet positions, supply lines, and battle zones. Everything had led to this moment, the final confrontation with the Keth Empire. General, Commander Wu reported. Admiral Tay confirms his fleet is in position outside the Keth home system. Captain Bin has successfully rescued Engineer Ko and transmitted her technical data. All units report ready for Operation Thunderstorm. General, Ho nodded grimly. Operation Thunderstorm would hit every major Keth military installation simultaneously, across dozens of star systems. It was the largest coordinated military action in galactic history. Signal all fleet commanders. Operation Thunderstorm begins in 30 minutes. On the planet Cathara, Engineer Ko worked frantically in the captured Keth facility. Captain Bin's Marines had secured the entire complex, giving her access to the Empire's central military computer network. Captain, Engineer Ko said, her fingers flying over alien control panels. My virus is ready for deployment. Once I activate it, every planet-killer weapon in the Keth arsenal will be neutralized. But I need exactly 12 minutes to ensure complete network penetration. Captain Bin checked her chronometer. You have 15 minutes before Admiral Tay begins the main assault. After that, the Keth will start shutting down their networks. Understood. Beginning viral deployment now. Across the galaxy, human fleets moved into attack positions. The liberated peoples of former Keth colonies watched in amazement as ships bearing human insignia appeared in their skies. Species that had lived under imperial oppression for decades suddenly saw hope. At the edge of the Keth home system, Admiral Tay commanded the largest battle fleet humanity had ever assembled. Before him stretched a defensive line of over 1,000 enemy ships, the entire remaining strength of the Empire. Communications, open a channel to all human vessels, Admiral Tay ordered. Channel open, Admiral. This is Admiral Tay to all ships. Today we finish what the Keth Empire started when they chose to attack innocent people. We fight not for conquest, but to ensure no civilization ever again lives in fear of imperial brutality. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth and her allies. On the Keth flagship Emperor's Wrath, Emperor Vex himself commanded the defense of his empire. His massive form filled the captain's chair as he surveyed the approaching human fleet. General Drac, how many human ships approach? 700 combat vessels, Your Majesty. We still outnumber them. Good. Prepare the planet-killer weapons. If we cannot defeat them in battle, we will destroy their homeworld and break their spirit. Your Majesty, we are having difficulty contacting the planet-killer stations. Our communications seem to be experiencing interference. Emperor Vex felt the first stirring of unease. What kind of interference? Before General Drac could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Engineer Ko's virus had reached the flagship's computer systems. Your Majesty, all planet-killer weapons are offline. Their targeting systems have been compromised. Emperor Vex roared in fury. Impossible. Those systems are completely isolated. Sir, it appears the humans have infiltrated our entire network. Weapon systems are shutting down across the fleet. Admiral Tay watched his tactical display as enemy ships began losing coordination. Dr. Yu, what is happening to their formation? Admiral, Engineer Ko's virus is working perfectly. Their central command systems are failing, and individual ships are reverting to local control only. Excellent. All ships begin attack pattern Omega, hit their command vessels first, then work outward. From their center, the human fleet accelerated toward the Keth defensive line. Unlike previous battles where they used surprise attacks, this time they advanced in perfect formation, their intent clear and unstoppable. Colonel Yoon led the first wave of marine transports. Her target was the Keth flagship itself. Marines, this is our chance to end the war with one decisive action. We take Emperor Vex alive and force the surrender of his entire empire. The battle began with a thunderous exchange of weapons fire. Human ships, smaller but faster than their enemies, wove through the Keith formation like a blade cutting through armor. The Empire's rigid battle tactics, disrupted by the viral attack, crumbled under human tactical flexibility. Commander Wu coordinated the simultaneous attacks on Keth installations throughout the galaxy. General Ho, reports are coming in from all sectors. Human forces have successfully attacked 37 Keth military bases. Enemy resistance is collapsing everywhere. What about civilian casualties? Minimal, sir. Dr. Yu's psychological warfare. Broadcasts are working. Keth civilians are surrendering to our forces rather than fighting. On the battlefield around the Keth homeworld, the tide turned decisively in humanity's favor. Captain Bin led a squadron of destroyers against the Empire's heavy battleships, using speed and superior tactics to outmaneuver vessels 3 times their size. Lieutenant Ryu, target their engine sections, disable their ships rather than destroy them when possible. Understood, Captain. We have 12 enemy vessels dead in space, crews preparing to surrender. Emperor Vex watched his empire crumble around him. Ship after ship fell to human attacks, or surrendered without fighting. His lifetime of conquest was ending in complete defeat. General Drac, order all remaining ships to ram the human vessels. If we cannot win, we will make them pay dearly for their victory. But even this desperate order failed. The virus had disrupted communications so thoroughly that most Keth ships never received the command. Those that did found their crews unwilling to die for an obviously lost cause. Colonel Yoon's assault shuttle penetrated the flagship's defenses and docked with the command section. Her Marines poured into the ship, their advanced weapons and superior tactics overwhelming the Keth defenders. Emperor Vex, she announced over the ship's communication system. This is Colonel Yoon of the human military. Your empire is defeated. Surrender now and your people will be treated with mercy. The Emperor's response was a roar of rage that echoed through the ship's corridors. But his elite guards, seeing the futility of resistance, began laying down their weapons. Within 6 hours, the battle was over. The Keth Empire's military had been completely destroyed or captured. Emperor Vex himself sat in restraints aboard the human flagship. His dreams of galactic dominion ended forever. Admiral Tay stood before the defeated Emperor, flanked by representatives of all the species the Keth had oppressed. Emperor Vex, your empire is finished. Your military is destroyed, your weapons neutralized, your planets liberated. You may have won this battle, human, but my people will never accept defeat. We will rebuild and return stronger than before. Dr. Yu stepped forward with a data tablet. Emperor, your own intelligence reports show that 70% of your population opposed the military expansion. They wanted peace, not endless war. Without your military to enforce obedience, they are choosing freedom. Indeed, across former Keth territory, civilian populations were welcoming human forces as liberators rather than conquerors. The Empire's reign of terror had made it hated by its own people. General Ho received the final victory reports at Earth Command. Commander Wu, what are our total casualties? Surprisingly light, General. We lost 43 ships destroyed with another 100 damaged. Crew casualties are approximately 3,000 killed, 8,000 wounded. And Keth losses? Their military has ceased to exist as an organized force. Over 800 ships destroyed or captured. Their leadership structure completely dismantled. President Kim joined them in the command center. General Ho, what happens now? We cannot occupy an entire empire. We do not need to, Madam President. Dr. Yu's reports indicate that the former Keth colonies want to form their own governments. We will help them establish peaceful democracies, then withdraw our forces. The news of humanity's total victory spread throughout the galaxy faster than light-speed communications. Species that had lived in fear of Keth expansion suddenly found themselves free. The balance of power had shifted completely. Ambassador Hyun, who had started the war with a desperate plea for help, now stood on the bridge of a human ship, watching the defeated Keth fleet surrender. Admiral Tay, when I came to Earth, I hoped You might send a few ships to help us survive. Instead, you have liberated half the galaxy. Ambassador, humanity learned long ago that evil succeeds when good people do nothing. The Keth threatened not just your people but the freedom of every species in this region. We could not allow that to continue. Engineer Ko, finally free from her Keth prison, worked alongside former enemies to rebuild the devastated worlds. Her virus had not only won the war, but provided a foundation for new communication networks that would unite the liberated planets. Colonel Yoon oversaw the peaceful transition as Keth military officers were retrained as police and emergency workers. Many former Imperial soldiers, freed from the brutality their leaders demanded, proved eager to help rebuild what their empire had destroyed. The war was over, but its consequences would reshape galactic civilization for generations. Humanity had proven that aggressive empires could be defeated, that brutality could be answered with superior force guided by moral purpose. Most importantly, they had shown that when free peoples stood, Emperor Vex of the Keth Empire sat on his throne of black stone, listening to reports of defeat with growing rage. His massive clawed hands gripped the armrests until the metal bent. Around him, his generals stood in fearful silence. You tell me that 50 primitive human ships destroyed an entire Imperial fleet. His voice echoed through the throne room like thunder. 200 of our finest warships defeated by these newcomers? General Drac, commander of the border forces, trembled as he spoke. Your Majesty, the humans fight unlike any species we have encountered. They show no fear, no hesitation. They attack with the fury of wild animals but the precision of machines. Excuses. Emperor Vex rose from his throne, his 7-foot frame towering over his generals. I do not want excuses. I want these humans crushed completely. They dare to challenge the might of the Keth Empire? Your Majesty, General Drac continued carefully, perhaps we should negotiate. Offer them tribute to leave our territory. Emperor Vex's roar of fury shook the walls. Never. No species defies the Keth and lives. Mobilize the reserve fleets. Activate the planet killer weapons. If these humans want war, they will have war beyond their imagination. Meanwhile, Admiral Tay commanded the main human fleet as it moved through hyperspace toward the heart of Keth territory. 500 combat ships and 200 support vessels formed the largest battle fleet in human history. On the flagship, indomitable Admiral Tay studied intelligence reports from Captain Bin's victory. The Keth are reacting exactly as Dr. Yu predicted, he told his staff. They are concentrating their forces for a massive counterattack instead of adapting their tactics. Commander Wu, who had joined the main fleet as tactical coordinator, highlighted enemy movements on the strategic display. Admiral, our scouts report the Keth are pulling ships from all their occupied territories. They are massing near their home system. Perfect, this saves us from having to hunt them down individually. Admiral Tay traced fleet movements with his finger. How many ships are they assembling? Current count is over 800 vessels, with more arriving daily. They appear to be committing their entire military to this battle. Captain Bin's voice came over the communication system from Thessia Prime. Admiral Tay, the Keth are also moving civilian populations from their border worlds toward their core systems. They seem to be preparing for a siege. Understood, Captain. Continue your operations in the border region. Keep pressure on their retreat routes. On the planet Kothara, deep in Keith space, Engineer Ko worked frantically in her secret laboratory. She had been captured during a previous Keth raid on a neutral research station, but her captors did not know her true identity. They thought she was a simple technician. In reality, Engineer Ko was one of humanity's top weapons specialists. She had spent months studying Keth technology from the inside, waiting for the right moment to act. Now, with human forces approaching, that moment had arrived. Computer, show me the technical specifications for Keth planet killer weapons, she whispered, careful not to alert the guards outside her cell. The stolen data revealed the Empire's most terrible secret: planet killer weapons that could destroy entire worlds with a single shot. The Keth had used these weapons to force surrender from dozens of species, but Engineer Ko saw something her captors did not realize. The weapons had a critical weakness: Their targeting systems relied on a single central computer that controlled all units simultaneously. If that computer could be disrupted, every planet killer in the Keth arsenal would become useless. She began, working on a virus that could spread through Keth military networks. If her calculations were correct, she could not only neutralize their superweapons but turn their own technology against them. Back on the human flagship, Dr. Yu received disturbing intelligence from Keth prisoners captured during the border battles. Admiral Tay, we have a problem. The Keth possess planet destroyer weapons. They are threatening to use them against Earth if we continue our advance. Admiral Tay studied the technical data with his senior officers. The weapons were, indeed, capable of destroying planets, but they required enormous amounts of energy and took time to charge. Dr. Yu, what is your assessment of this threat? The weapons are real, but they have limitations. They can only fire once every few days, and they must remain stationary while charging. If we can locate and destroy them quickly, they become useless. How do we find them? They generate massive energy signatures when charging. Our sensors should detect them easily once they begin the firing sequence. Colonel Yoon joined the discussion from her troop transport. Admiral, if these weapons threaten Earth, my Marines volunteer to assault them directly. We can board and capture them before they fire. Too dangerous, Colonel. These weapons are too heavily defended for direct assault. Engineer Ko's coded message reached the human fleet through a captured Keth communication relay. The message was brief but critical. She had found a way to neutralize the planet killers and needed extraction. Admiral, Commander Wu reported, we have received an emergency signal from Engineer Ko. She is alive and has vital intelligence about Keth superweapons. Admiral Tay felt hope surge through him. Engineer Ko was one of humanity's finest technical minds. If anyone could find a weakness in Keth weapons, it would be her. Prepare a rescue mission. We need to extract her before the main battle begins. Captain Bin received new orders to lead a small strike force to Kothara. Her ships would have to penetrate deep into Keth territory while avoiding the massive enemy fleet concentrating for battle. Lieutenant Ryu, plot a course using the asteroid fields to mask our approach. We need to reach Kothara without alerting the main Keth force. Course plotted, Captain. Estimated travel time is 16 hours. As the human rescue mission began, Emperor Vex issued his final ultimatum to Earth. Humans of the Sol system, you have dared to defy the might of the Keth Empire. We offer you one chance to avoid total destruction. Withdraw your forces immediately and submit to our rule. Refuse, and we will destroy your home world with weapons beyond your imagination. The message reached Earth Command, where General Ho reviewed it with the Planetary Defense Council. The room fell silent as the ultimatum ended. General asked President Kim, what is our response? General Ho stood up slowly, his expression grim but determined. Madam President, there is only one possible response to threats against Earth. He activated the main communication system that would broadcast his words to the entire galaxy. Emperor Vex of the Keth Empire, you have threatened to destroy Earth and enslave humanity. We reject your ultimatum completely. Instead, we offer you terms: surrender immediately and disband your empire, or face total destruction. You wanted to see human capabilities. You are about to learn what happens when you threaten our home. The message sent shockwaves throughout both empires. Other species monitoring the communications could hardly believe what they heard. The humans were not only refusing to surrender, they were demanding the Keth Empire surrender instead. On Kothara, Engineer Ko received word of the ultimatum and doubled her efforts. Her virus was almost complete, but she needed more time to test it properly. If it failed, the planet killer weapons would remain a terrible threat to Earth and the entire human fleet. Captain Bin's rescue ships approached the prison planet under cover of an asteroid storm. The Keth defenses were lighter than expected. Most of their ships had been recalled for the main battle. Colonel Yoon, prepare your Marines for a prisoner extraction mission. We have one chance to get Engineer Ko out before the Keth realize what we are doing. The war was approaching its climax. Two massive fleets moved toward a confrontation that would determine the fate of multiple civilizations. In hidden laboratories and prison cells, Brilliant minds worked desperately to find advantages that could tip the balance. The Keth Empire had ruled through fear and overwhelming force for decades. They had never faced an enemy willing to match their brutality with superior intelligence and unwavering determination. But humanity was about to show them what total war really meant when waged by a species that fought not for conquest, but for the survival of everything they held dear. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin, and its outcome would reshape the balance of power among the stars forever. Commander Kale stood on the bridge of his Keth battleship, studying reports from his intelligence officers. The reports spoke of a new species called humans, who claimed they would help the pathetic Villani. He laughed at the idea. "Commander," his aide reported, "our spies say these humans have primitive technology. Their ships are small and poorly armed. They should be easy to destroy." Kyle nodded with satisfaction. The Keth Empire had conquered 12 species in the past 50 years. Each time, other races sent small fleets to help the victims. Each time, those fleets were destroyed easily. These humans would be no different. How many ships are they sending? Reports indicate approximately 50 vessels in their first fleet. 50? Kyle laughed louder. "I have 200 ships in this system alone. We will crush them so completely that no other species will dare oppose us." Meanwhile, Captain Bin guided her human fleet through hyperspace toward the contested Villani world of Thessia Prime. Her 50 ships moved in perfect formation, their crews ready for battle. Ambassador Hyun sat in the observer chair on her bridge, still amazed by human efficiency. "Captain Bin," Hyun said nervously, "are you certain about attacking immediately? The Keth have much larger ships than ours." Captain Bin studied the tactical display showing enemy positions. "Ambassador, in human military history, we learned that surprise and aggression often defeat superior numbers. The Keth expect us to negotiate or ask for surrender terms. Instead, we attack without warning. But surely some communication first?" "No." Captain Bin's voice was firm. "The time for communication ended when they began killing civilians. Now, we speak with weapons." Lieutenant Ryu worked at the sensor station. "Captain, we are approaching the target system. Enemy fleet detected. 197 ships arranged in standard Keth battle formation. Nearly 4-to-1 odds," Captain Bin said calmly. "Good. If we can defeat them here, the rest of the Keth Empire will fear us." The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Thessia Prime system. Immediately, Keth communication signals flooded their receivers. "Unknown vessels," came the translated voice of Commander Kale. "You are entering Keth Empire territory. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Captain Bin ignored the message. "All ships, begin attack pattern Alpha. Target their command vessels. First, then their heavy cruisers. Do not give them time to coordinate their response." The human ships accelerated toward the Keth fleet at maximum speed. Their missiles launched in coordinated volleys, creating a wall of destruction racing ahead of them. Commander Kale watched the approaching humans with confusion. "What are they doing? Why did they not respond to our surrender demand?" "Sir, they are attacking. Missiles incoming." "Impossible, they have only 50 ships against our 200. The first human missiles struck Keth ships before they could raise full shields. Explosions blossomed across the enemy formation as command ships took critical damage. The rigid Keth battle plan immediately began to collapse. "All ships, return. Fire," Kale ordered. "Destroy these insects." But the Keth ships were not ready. Their weapons needed time to charge, and their formations were designed for intimidating smaller enemies, not fighting aggressive attackers. The humans gave them no time to prepare. Captain Bin watched the battle develop on her screens. "Lieutenant Ryu, damage report on enemy forces. 12 Keth ships destroyed, 18 severely damaged. Their command structure appears disrupted." "Excellent. Signal the marine transports. Prepare for boarding actions." Ambassador Hyun stared at the tactical display in shock. The humans were not just fighting the Keth, they were winning. "Captain, how is this possible? They outnumber you 4-to-1. Ambassador, the Keth are used to fighting scared enemies who try to minimize casualties. We fight to win, regardless of cost." Captain Bin highlighted sections of the enemy fleet on her display. Look how they position their ships. They spread out to look impressive, but this makes them weak against concentrated attacks. Lieutenant Ryu coordinated the second wave of human attacks. Marine shuttles launched from transport ships, racing toward damaged Keth vessels. Captain Colonel Yoon reports her Marines are ready for boarding operations. Tell her to proceed. I want prisoners for interrogation and captured ships for intelligence. The first Marine shuttles reached the Keth battleship Terror of Worlds. Colonel Yoon led the assault personally, her combat armor designed specifically for fighting larger alien enemies. The shuttles cut through the Keth ship's hull using plasma torches, creating multiple entry points. Marines, remember your training, Colonel Yoon said over the communication system. Keth warriors are strong but slow. Use your speed and superior tactics. Take the bridge and engine rooms first. The Marines poured into the Keth ship like a flood of destruction. Their weapons were designed for close combat in confined spaces. The Keth, expecting to fight at long range with their powerful energy rifles, found themselves overwhelmed by human tactical flexibility. Commander Kale received panicked reports from throughout his fleet. Sir, the humans are boarding 18 of our ships. Their soldiers fight like demons, they show no fear. How many human ships have we destroyed? None, sir. Their ships are faster and more maneuverable than our intelligence reported. They attack, fire, and retreat before we can target them effectively. Kale felt the first stirring of fear. In 50 years of conquest, the Keth had never faced an enemy like this. These humans fought with a viciousness that matched Keth brutality, but combined it with tactical intelligence the Empire had never developed. Colonel Yoon reached the bridge of the Terror of Worlds. The Keth crew fought desperately, but human Marines moved through the ship like they had trained there for years. Her tactical computer had mapped every corridor and weak point before the battle began. Bridge secured, she reported to Captain Bin. Keth commander is captured. Ship's computer contains fleet positions and tactical plans. Excellent work, Colonel. Download everything and prepare the ship for human crew. Within 3 hours, the tide of battle had completely turned. The Keth fleet, designed to intimidate through size and fear, crumbled under human aggression. Commander Kale found his formation broken and his command structure in chaos. All ships retreat, he ordered desperately. Fall back to the secondary defense line. But retreat proved as difficult as attack for the rigid Keth formations. Human ships pursued them relentlessly, picking off stragglers and damaged vessels. What began as an organized withdrawal became a panicked rout. Captain Bin watched the enemy flee and felt grim satisfaction. Lieutenant Ryu, casualty report. 2 human ships damaged, minimal crew losses. Keth losses, 47 ships destroyed, 23 captured, the rest retreating in disorder. Ambassador Hyun could barely speak. Captain, you have just defeated a Keth Imperial fleet with minimal losses. How is this possible? Ambassador, the Keth made a critical error. They believed their own propaganda about being superior warriors. In reality, they have only fought weak enemies who were afraid of them. They never learned how to fight against an enemy willing to match their brutality. Commander Wu received the battle report at Earth Command and immediately forwarded it to General Ho. The general studied the numbers with satisfaction. Excellent, he said. Captain Bin has proven our tactical analysis correct. The Keth are strong but inflexible. They cannot adapt to unexpected situations. Sir, Commander Wu reported, Admiral Tay's main fleet is ready to begin Phase 2 of the operation. Good. Send the order. Begin the assault on the Keth home system. We end this war quickly. Back at Thessia Prime, Captain Bin coordinated with the liberated Villani Defense Forces. The planet's population watched in amazement as human engineers worked to repair their orbital defenses and rearm their ships with human technology. Ambassador Hyun, Captain Bin said, your people fought bravely during the battle. With human support, they can reclaim all their lost worlds. Captain, I do not understand. Why do humans fight so effectively? Other species have tried to help, various civilizations, but none succeeded like you have. Captain Ben looked out at the stars where the Keth fleet had fled. Ambassador, most species fight wars to avoid losing. Humans fight wars to win. We do not seek merely to survive. We seek to completely destroy our enemy's ability to threaten us or anyone else. The Keth wanted total war. She continued. They attacked civilians, destroyed entire populations, spread terror across the galaxy. They will learn that humans can be more ruthless than they ever imagined. But we use that ruthlessness to protect the innocent, rather than destroy them. As reports of the victory spread throughout the galaxy, other species began to take notice. The humans, dismissed as primitive newcomers, had just accomplished what no other civilization had managed. They had defeated a Keth imperial fleet in open battle. The war was far from over, but the balance of power was already shifting. The Keth Empire, built on fear and intimidation, had encountered an enemy they could not frighten. For the first time in decades, hope spread among the oppressed peoples of the galaxy. The humans had kept their promise to answer the Vellani plea for help, and they were just getting started. Commander Wu stood in the central command center of Earth's largest military base. Screens surrounded her showing ship construction, troop movements, and supply lines. Everything moved faster than anyone thought possible. The entire planet had become a war machine. Commander, the Mars shipyards report completion of 20 new destroyers, reported Lieutenant Ryu. The moon factories have finished another batch of fighter craft. Total count is now at 800 combat ships. Wu nodded, making notes on her tablet. 6 days had passed since Ambassador Hyun's request. 6 days to build the largest fleet in human history. Other species would need years for such preparation. Humans did it in less than a week. What about the weapon systems? All ships are armed and ready. Dr. Yu's research team finished the new targeting computers yesterday. Our accuracy rates are now 30% better than the original designs. Dr. Yu entered the command center carrying a thick folder of documents. Her team had worked without sleep, studying everything the Vellani knew about Keth biology and technology. Commander Wu, I have the enemy analysis ready, Dr. Yu said, placing the folder on the central table. The Keth are interesting creatures. They are physically strong, about twice human size. Their technology is advanced but rigid. They never change their battle tactics. What does this mean for our forces? They rely on fear and superior firepower. When facing smaller enemies, they win through intimidation. Their ships are built to look scary rather than fight efficiently. They expect enemies to surrender when they see the Keth fleet. Commander Wu smiled grimly. They have never fought humans. Exactly. Our psychological profile shows they become confused when enemies fight back with equal force. They do not adapt well to unexpected situations. Lieutenant Ryu looked up from his screens. Dr. Yu, what about their weapons? The Vellani reports show very powerful energy beams. Their weapons are strong but slow to recharge. They fire once, expect the enemy to be destroyed, then take time to power up for the next shot. Our strategy should be continuous rapid attacks that do not give them time to recover. General Ho arrived with a group of officers. His expression was serious but determined. The general had spent 3 days creating the war plan that would destroy the Keth Empire. Commander Wu, is the fleet ready for departure? Yes, General. Admiral Tay reports all ships are loaded and crews are prepared. Total force is 700, combat vessels and 300 support ships. Good. Dr. Yu, brief the general staff on enemy weaknesses. Dr. Yu activated the main display screen. A three-dimensional image of a Keth warrior appeared, along with technical data about their ships and weapons. The Keth Empire has expanded through intimidation rather than military skill. They attack civilian targets to create fear, then demand surrender. They have never fought a prolonged war against an equal enemy. She highlighted different parts of the Keth anatomy. They are strong but not agile. Their reaction time is slower than humans. In close combat, a trained human soldier has significant advantages. General Ho studied the data carefully. What about their leadership structure? Very rigid. Orders come from the top, and lower ranks never make independent decisions. If we can disrupt their command ships, their entire fleet becomes confused and ineffective. Perfect. This confirms our battle strategy. General Ho activated a star map showing Keth territory. We will not fight a defensive war like the Vellani tried. We will attack their home systems directly. Commander Wu felt surprised. Sir, attacking their home territory means fighting their entire fleet at once. Yes, but it also means they cannot retreat to regroup. We force them into a single decisive battle where our advantages are greatest. Lieutenant Ryu spoke up nervously. General, what if we lose that battle? Our entire fleet would be destroyed. General Ho looked at the young officer with understanding. Lieutenant, in human history we have learned something important. When facing an evil enemy, half measures do not work. You must commit everything to victory or accept defeat. We choose victory. Dr. Yu nodded in agreement. The Keth expect us to fight like the Vellani, defensively, trying to protect our worlds while they slowly destroy us. Instead, we bring the war to them immediately. The next morning, Colonel Yoon arrived with reports from the Marine training facilities. Her soldiers had spent a week learning everything about Keth ship designs and combat methods. General Ho, the Marine battalions are ready for boarding actions. We have studied Keth ship layouts and identified weak points. My teams can take control of enemy vessels quickly. How many Marines do we have? 50,000 in the first wave. Another 100,000 will follow with the main fleet. Commander Wu pulled up troop numbers on her screen. Colonel, that seems like a small number compared to the size of the Keth Empire. Quality over quantity, Commander. Each human Marine is worth 10 Keth soldiers in close combat. We fight smarter and adapt faster. General Ho gathered everyone around the main display. Listen carefully. Our war plan has 3 phases. Phase 1, Captain Bin's advance fleet attacks Keth border systems to test their response. Phase 2, Admiral Tay leads the main fleet to their home system, while their forces are still moving to the border. Phase 3, we destroy their entire military capability in one massive battle. Dr. Yu looked concerned. General, this plan requires perfect timing. If the main fleet arrives too early or too late, they could be overwhelmed. Dr. Yu is right. But the alternative is a long war that destroys both civilizations. The Keth use brutal methods. The longer this war lasts, the more innocent people die. We end it quickly. Lieutenant Ryu received a message on his communication device. Sir, Captain Bin reports her fleet is ready to depart. She is waiting for final orders. General Ho stood up straight. Send this message to Captain Bin. You are authorized to begin military operations against the Keth Empire. Show them what happens when they attack peaceful people. Make them regret ever hearing the word human. Commander Wu watched the message being transmitted. In a few hours, the first human ships would enter combat against an alien enemy. Everything they had built, everything they had planned would be tested. General, she said quietly, what if our analysis is wrong? What if the Keth are stronger than we think? General Ho looked out the window at Earth's blue sky. Ships were launching constantly, carrying soldiers and supplies toward the unknown. Commander, every species the Keth have attacked asked the same question. They all doubted themselves. They all lost because they fought with fear instead of confidence. Humans are different. When we commit to something, we do not doubt. We do not hesitate. We do not surrender. He turned to face the room. The Keth wanted total war. They are about to learn what total war really means. Colonel Yoon saluted smartly. Sir, when do we expect first contact? Captain Bin's fleet will reach Keth space in 18 hours. First battle should begin 24 hours after that. By this time tomorrow, we will know if our strategy works. Dr. Yu gathered her papers. I should return to the research lab. If the first battle provides new data about Keth capabilities, we need to analyze it quickly. As the meeting ended, everyone returned to their duties. Earth continued its incredible preparation for war. Factories worked continuously. Training camps pushed soldiers to their limits. Scientists developed new weapons and tactics. Commander, Wu remained in the command center, watching the displays show human ships jumping to hyperspace. Each ship carried the hopes of 2 civilizations, the Vellani, who begged for salvation, and humanity, who had chosen to answer that plea with everything. they possessed. The war was beginning, and there would be no second chances. The Vellani ship shook as it entered Earth's solar system. Ambassador Hyun gripped his chair as alarms sounded throughout the bridge. His blue-scaled hands trembled, not from fear of the rough ride, but from what he was about to ask these humans. "Ambassador, we are receiving signals from multiple sources," reported his aide Jun. "The humans have many ships in this system." Hyun nodded slowly. 6 months ago, his people had first contact with humanity. The humans seemed friendly but simple. Their technology looked basic compared to other spacefaring races. Now, with his homeworld burning and his people dying, Hyun had no choice but to beg these primitive beings for help. The communication screen lit up. A human face appeared, an older man with kind eyes and graying hair. He wore a blue uniform with strange symbols. "Welcome to the Sol system, Ambassador Hyun. I am Admiral Tae of the Korean Space Defense Force. We have been expecting you." Hyun felt surprised. How did they know he was coming? "Admiral Tae, I come seeking help for my people. The Keth Empire has destroyed 6 of our 7 worlds. We are desperate." Admiral Tae's expression grew serious. "We know about the Keth attacks. Please dock with our station New Seoul. We will talk there." The Vellani ship moved toward a massive structure orbiting Earth. Hyun stared at the station in shock. It was huge, bigger than anything his people had built. Hundreds of ships moved around it like busy insects. These were not the simple humans he remembered. "Ambassador," Jun whispered, "look at their ships. They all have weapons. Many weapons." Hyun saw what his aide meant. Every human ship bristled with gun ports and missile tubes. These people were ready for war. The docking went smoothly. Admiral Tae waited for them with a small group of humans. All wore military uniforms. All looked serious and alert. "Ambassador Hyun, welcome to New Seoul Station," Admiral Tae said. "Please follow me. The Earth Council is ready to hear your request." They walked through corridors filled with activity. Human soldiers marched in formation. Workers carried boxes of supplies. Everything moved with purpose and speed. The council chamber was large and round. Representatives from different Earth nations sat in chairs arranged in a circle. At the center stood a hologram table showing a map of the galaxy. "Please, tell us about your situation," said a woman with short black hair. Her nameplate read, "President Kim of the United Earth Government." Hyun activated his portable projector. Images of burning cities and fleeing ships filled the air. "The Keth Empire attacked us without warning 6 months ago. They destroyed our colonies one by one. They kill everyone, soldiers, civilians, children. They do not take prisoners." The humans watched the images in silence. Some faces showed anger. Others showed sadness. "We tried to fight," Hyun continued. "Our fleet was destroyed in the first battle. The Keth have better weapons and more ships. Now only our home system remains. Maybe a few weeks before they arrive." President Kim leaned forward. "What exactly are you asking from us, Ambassador?" "Ships, soldiers, weapons, anything you can spare. In return, we offer our technology, our trade routes, our knowledge of the galaxy." Hyun's voice cracked. "Please, we have nowhere else to turn." An older human with many medals spoke up. This was General Ho, according to his nameplate. "Ambassador, how many Keth ships attacked your worlds?" "The first attack used 50 ships. Each new attack was larger. We estimate they have at least 200 warships." The humans looked at each other. Hyun felt his hopes sink. 200 ships was a massive fleet. Surely these humans could not match such numbers. Admiral Tae stood up. "Ambassador, we need to discuss your request. Please wait in the guest quarters. We will have an answer soon." Hyun felt confused. Soon. Most governments took weeks or months to make such big decisions. "How soon, Admiral?" "A few hours. Maybe less." In the guest quarters, Hyun paced back and forth. Jun sat quietly, reading reports on his tablet. "Ambassador," Jun said suddenly, "I have been monitoring human communications. Their military is very Active, ships are moving, factories are increasing production. What does this mean? I think they are preparing for something big. 3 hours later, Admiral Tay returned. With him came President Kim and General Ho. They all looked determined. Ambassador Hyun, President Kim began, "We have reached a decision. Humanity will help the Vellani Confederation." Hyun felt relief flood through him. "Thank you. How many ships can you send? 10? 20? General Ho smiled grimly. "We are sending everything." "Everything? Every warship, every transport, every soldier we can spare." Admiral Tay pulled up a hologram showing the Sol system. Red dots marked hundreds of ships. "Captain Bin will lead the first fleet. It leaves tomorrow." Hyun stared at the display. There were more red dots than he could count. "But this is your entire military." "Yes," President Kim said simply. "When humanity makes a promise, we keep it completely." "But why? You barely know us. We have nothing valuable enough to risk your whole civilization." The humans exchanged looks. Admiral Tay answered slowly. "Ambassador, we have been watching the galaxy for many years. We see what the Keth do to peaceful people. We see how they spread fear and death. This cannot continue." General Ho stepped forward. "In our history, we learned that evil succeeds when good people do nothing. The Keth are evil. We will not do nothing. But if you lose..." "We will not lose," President Kim said with quiet confidence. "The Keth have never faced an enemy like humanity. They use fear and overwhelming force against people who only want peace. They have never fought people who answer brutality with greater brutality." Hyun felt a chill. "What do you mean, Admiral?" Tay activated another display. This one showed technical specifications for human weapons. The numbers made Hyun's eyes widen. These weapons were not just advanced, they were terrifying. "The Keth believe in total war," Admiral Tay explained. "They destroy everything that opposes them. They think this makes them strong. They are wrong. We also believe in total war," General Ho added. "But we are better at it." The next morning, Yoon stood on the observation deck watching the human fleet prepare to leave. Captain Bin, a serious woman with sharp eyes, commanded the lead ship called Determination. Her fleet had 50 ships, all of them larger and more heavily armed than anything in the Vellani Navy. "This is only the first group," Admiral Tay told him. "The main fleet will follow in 1 week." "How many ships in the main fleet?" 500 combat ships, 200 support vessels, 3 million soldiers." Hyun could barely speak. His entire civilization had never built so many ships. As the first fleet jumped to hyperspace, Admiral Tay put a hand on Hyun's shoulder. "Ambassador, you came here asking for help. We are giving you something better." "What is that?" "Victory. Complete victory. When this war ends, the Keth Empire will be finished forever." Hyun watched the stars and felt something he had not felt in months. Hope. These humans were different from other species he had met. They did not half measure anything. When they committed to helping, they committed everything. The war was about to begin, and for the first time since the attack started, Hyun believed his people might survive. More than survive, they might actually win. Behind them, Earth's shipyards worked without stopping. More ships took shape every hour. Humanity had heard the plea for help, and they were answering with everything they had. The Keth Empire had no idea what was coming for them.